You wake up. The alarm buzzes. You check the clock. Already late, another day begins, not because you're ready, but because a machine tells you it's time. Have you ever wondered what exactly is time? Why do we follow it? Why do we fear it? Why does it feel different depending on how we feel? Sometimes a minute lasts forever. Sometimes hours disappear in a heartbeat. Strange, isn't it? They told us time moves in one direction, second by second, hour by hour, day by day. But something doesn't add up. Why does a moment with someone you love feel so fast, while waiting alone in silence feels endless? What if time isn't moving at all? What if it's not something outside us, but something inside? Your mind bends time. Your memories stretch it. Your emotions speed it up or slow it down. No one ever told you that.
Ow.
No one wants you to know. Because if you question time, you question everything. They say Einstein believed time wasn't a straight line, that it could curve, fold, even stop. Quantum physicists argue that past, present, and future are all happening at once, right now, in ways we can't even see. Still, we trust the ticking clock. Still, we live by calendars and countdowns. Still we wait, rush, worry, as if we're running out of something real. But here's the truth. You were never counting time. You were counting moments, and moments are made, not measured. So if time isn't fixed, if it's not constant, then what is it? Maybe it's an illusion. Maybe it's a story we were told to make sense of chaos. A lie we all agreed to believe. But what if it's more than a lie? What if something or someone is controlling your time, and you never even knew? This is just the beginning. A doorway. Once you walk through it, there's no going back. You think you're free, but every decision you make is chained to a date, a deadline, a birthday, an anniversary. A Monday morning, we live in a prison made of calendars. But no one sees the bars. Think about it. Why do we celebrate New Year's on January 1st? Why not April 4th or October 10th? Because someone long ago decided that's when time resets. But time doesn't reset. You do. Because they told you to. Centuries ago, powerful empires needed control. They couldn't rule minds unless they ruled moments, so they invented structure, seconds, minutes, hours, weeks. They built a system, not to organize life, but to own it. The calendar was a contract. You didn't sign it, but you live by it. Every day, wake up, go to work, pay your bills, celebrate holidays that were chosen for you. And when time became money, they sold it back to you. Rent your hours, spend your time, save your days off. You think you're chasing success, but really, you're just paying rent in minutes. And here's the twist. No two calendars have ever told the same story. The Mayans had 260-day years. The French once had 10-day weeks. Ancient Egyptians used the stars. Romans changed the months to honor their emperors. July, August, ever wonder why they sound like names? Because they are Julius. Augustus, the rulers etched their names into time itself, and we still speak to them today. That's not just history. That's power. Now ask yourself, what else have they hidden in plain sight? You feel tired, burned out, always running out of time. But maybe you're not broken. Maybe the system is dot. What if time wasn't meant to be a cage, but a canvas? What if every second you've spent was stolen by design? In the next part, we'll go deeper, past the clocks, past the calendars. For the first time, humans even noticed time was passing. And when you see how it all started, you'll realize you were never just living in time. You were trapped in someone else's version of it. Imagine a world without clocks, no calendars, phones, no schedules, just you and the sky, the sun, the moon, Long ago, humans looked up. They watched shadows stretch and shrink. They followed the stars like guides on a dark road. They didn't measure time, they felt it. They knew when to plant crops, when to hunt, when the rains would come. Seasons ruled their lives, not minutes or hours, but something else was stirring. A strange awareness, a hunger to know more than just the day. They began to mark moments, with sticks in the dirt, with scratches on bones, with stones arranged in circles. These were the first clocks, not machines, not gears, but stories told with objects. Each mark a prayer, a warning, a promise. Time was becoming something to hold, not just something that slipped through their fingers. But here's the catch. Even as they tried to capture it, time remained a mystery, slipping away faster than any stone or scratch could last. Because time was not just outside them. It was inside, in their memories, in their fears, in their dreams. And that's when the real story of time began. What if time isn't a thing What if it's a story we tell ourselves to make sense of the chaos around us? Think about a day you can't stop thinking about. A day you wish you could live again. A moment frozen in memory. That memory is not just a photo in your brain. It's a movie. Your mind replays sounds, smells, feelings, and with each replay, time stretches. The past becomes bigger than the present. It pulls on you like a weight or a whisper you can't ignore. Now think of a day you want to forget. When pain or fear makes your heart stop, you try to push it away, but your mind keeps pulling it back over and over. Time slows down inside your head. Each second a needle, because your brain uses time not to measure reality, but to make meaning. This is why time feels different to each of us. Because every mind tells a different story. No clock can capture that. No calendar can hold it. Time is a personal journey shaped by your thoughts, your feelings, your very being. And that's why we can never fully understand it. Because time isn't just outside, it's inside. It's the invisible thread, weaving your life story together. You might think your watch tells time, but really, it's your brain. Inside your head, a secret clock ticks. Not a physical clock, of course, but a network of neurons, firing pulses, counting moments, measuring duration. Without you even knowing, scientists call it the internal clock. It helps you estimate how long things take, how long a breath lasts, how long you've been waiting. But here's the catch. This clock is not perfect. It's easily fooled, distracted, confused. When you're focused and calm, time seems steady. When you're scared or excited, it can speed up or slow down. Ever notice how a scary movie feels longer than a comedy? That's your brain's clock running wild. Even your attention changes time's flow. Boredom drags seconds into hours. Joy makes hours vanish like dust. Your internal clock doesn't just count seconds, it counts meaning. It measures importance. That's why moments that matter stay long in your mind, and moments you forget simply disappear. Have you ever noticed how waiting feels endless? Sitting in a dull room, watching the seconds crawl by, each tick louder than the last. 5 minutes can feel like an hour. Because when your brain has nothing to do, it focuses all its attention on time itself. It's like an overactive drummer tapping out every beat, making the moment feel stretched and heavy. But the moment you're busy talking, laughing, moving, time slips away. It hides in the rush, vanishes in the flow. Scientists call this subjective time. Because time isn't just about clocks. It's about what your mind does with those ticks. Waiting is torture, not because time is slow, but because your brain is starving for meaning. And that can make even the smallest moments unbearable. But here's the mystery. Sometimes waiting saves you. It gives you a chance to prepare, to breathe, to change your story. Waiting isn't just wasted time. It's a secret weapon if you know how to use it. Have you ever been so lost in what you're doing that you forget time exists? Like when you're like when you're painting, writing, or playing music, hours pass like minutes. This feeling has a name. Flow. It's a state where your mind and body sync perfectly, where distractions fade away, where time stops being important. Scientists say flow is the brain's way of focusing all its energy on one task. In flow, your internal clock quiets down. You're not counting seconds or minutes. You're simply present, and that's why time seems to fly. Flow isn't just a happy accident. It's a key to understanding how flexible time really is. Because when you're in flow, you don't just lose track of time. You change it. You become the master of your own clock. Have you ever noticed how some memories feel longer than others? Summer vacation from childhood can seem endless, like it lasted forever. But a year ago, that feels like yesterday. Why does memory stretch some moments and shrink others? It's because your brain stores memories differently based on how much new information it takes in. When you experience something new, strange, or exciting, your brain works overtime, capturing every detail. Later, you look back, there's more to remember. More mental snapshots. That makes time seem longer. But when days become routine, when you do the same thing every morning, see the same faces, drive the same roads, your brain files the memories away quickly. There's less to recall, so time seems to speed up. This is why childhood summers felt endless, and why adult years seem to fly by. Time isn't just measured by clocks. It's measured by the moments your mind decides to keep. Have you ever been so scared that time seemed to slow down? Maybe during a car accident, or a sudden loud noise, or a moment when your heart raced so fast you could feel every second like it was lasting forever. Scientists say fear changes how your brain records time in those intense moments. Your brain zooms in, recording more details than usual. That flood of information makes it feel like time is stretching out. But here's the catch: time itself isn't slowing. Your brain is just making a super detailed movie of the moment. Later, when you remember it, it feels longer than it really was. Fear tricks your mind into stretching time, giving you extra moments to react, to survive. It's an ancient survival tool built into your very being. But sometimes, that tool makes you feel trapped, stuck in a moment you want to escape. Have you ever noticed something strange about trips? The journey there feels long, slow, endless. But the trip back? Suddenly, it's over before you know it. Why? Scientists call this the return trip effect. On the way to a new place, your brain is alert, noticing new sights, sounds, smells. It's busy processing a flood of information that makes time feel slower. But on the way back, everything is familiar. Your brain already knows the route, so it doesn't work as hard. Familiarity speeds up your sense of time, so your brain's memory work, not the clock, is controlling how long things feel. It's proof that time is not a fixed river flowing at one speed. It's a shifting, personal experience woven by what you see, what you feel, what you remember, and you're the one weaving it. There's something strange about the snooze button, isn't there? You hit it, you close your eyes, you think you'll get 9 more minutes of sleep, but those 9 minutes feel shorter. Like they don't count, like they disappear. Why does that happen? Scientists aren't sure, but they think it's because your brain is in a strange state. You're caught between sleeping and waking, neither fully here nor fully gone. Your internal clock gets confused. Your sense of time blurs. It's like your brain is throwing up its hands, saying, "I give up." That's why those extra minutes seem to vanish so fast. Yet, somehow, they don't refresh you. Instead, you feel grog-gear. So next time you hit snooze, remember those minutes aren't really yours. They're borrowed time, slipping through your fingers, and your brain knows it. Did you know the way you talk about time can change how you experience it? In English, we say things like spend time, save time, waste time. Time is like money, something to hold on to or lose. But not all languages see it that way. Some cultures think of time as a landscape, a place you move through, not a resource you use. In the Hopi language, for example, there's no direct word for time like we have. Instead, time is understood as events happening, a flow of experiences, not a line to follow. Some people point behind them to show the future because it's unknown, and in front to show the past because it's visible. This flips our ideas upside down. Language doesn't just describe reality, it shapes it. So the way you speak about time can actually change how you feel it. Inside every one of us, there's a clock, not the one on your wrist, a clock built into your biology. It's called the circadian rhythm, a 24-hour cycle that guides when you sleep, wake, feel hungry, or even get tired. This internal clock syncs with the sun. When light hits your eyes in the morning, your body knows it's time to wake up. At night, as darkness falls, your body prepares for rest. This rhythm affects much more than just sleep. It controls your body temperature, hormone levels, and even your mood. But here's the thing. This biological clock isn't perfect. Jet lag, shift work, or just staying up too late can throw it off. When that happens, you feel tired, foggy, like time is out of sync. So part of your experience of time, how alert or sluggish you feel, is controlled by this hidden clock inside you. It's another reminder that time isn't just outside. It's deeply inside, too. For shorter moments, seconds, or minutes, your brain uses a different clock, a mental stopwatch. It's not a ticking clock you can see, but a network inside your brain, including parts called the basal ganglia and cerebellum. Keeps track of time by counting steady pulses. When you try to estimate how long something takes, like waiting for a light to change, or how long a song lasts, this internal stopwatch is at work. But it's not perfect. If you're distracted, stressed, or multitasking, your brain's timekeeper can lose count. That's why sometimes a few minutes feel like hours, or why an hour can fly by unnoticed. Your brain is constantly guessing time, based on what it's focusing on. So time isn't just a fixed measurement. It's a personal, fuzzy experience shaped by your mind. You leave for a place you've never been. The journey feels long. Every turn, every stoplight, your brain is recording it all. Then you return home, and somehow it feels like the ride back. Takes half the time, but nothing changed. The road was the same. The speed, too. What changed was you. On the way there, everything was unfamiliar. Your brain had to work harder. More mental notes, more caution, more processing. That made the time feel stretched, but on the way back, it knew the path. Fewer surprises, less thinking. So time felt like it sped up, even though the clock didn't cheat. You sit in a waiting room. No music, no windows. Minutes feel like hours. But then your phone buzzes. A message, a video. And suddenly, 10 minutes disappear. What changed? Your attention. When you focus on time, it slows. When you ignore it, it slips away. The brain has its own rhythm for tracking time, but it's not always reliable. If your mind is bored, the rhythm slows. If you're excited or distracted, the rhythm speeds up. That's why time flies when you're having fun and crawls when you're not. A car swerves in front of you. Your heart pounds, your eyes widen. And for a few seconds, everything moves in slow. Motion, that's not your imagination. That's your brain entering survival mode. In moments of fear or danger, your brain records more detail. It sharpens focus, speeds up reaction time. That makes the moment feel stretched. Time doesn't actually slow, but your memory of it becomes richer. And when you look back, those Few seconds feel like a minute. Your brain bends time when it thinks your life depends on it. Remember how summers felt endless when you were a kid? A single day could stretch on forever, filled with games, new places, new faces. Time moved slowly, but in a good way. Now, years vanish in the blink of an eye. The reason? When you're young, everything is new. The brain is constantly creating fresh memories, and that makes time feel full. Richer, slower, but as you grow older, routine takes over. Wake up, same road, same faces, same tasks. Fewer new memories means fewer mental markers, so your brain compresses time. And suddenly, a year feels like a month. You didn't run out of time, you just stopped filling it with new experiences. Some people say time is money. Others say time flows or time stands still. But did you know the language you speak can change how you actually feel time? In English, time moves horizontally. We look forward to something or put the past behind us. But in some cultures, time moves vertically. The future is up and the past is down. It's not just about words. It's about how the brain maps those words into feelings. If your language treats time like a resource, you're more likely to feel stressed when you waste it. If it treats time like space, you may feel more relaxed, like time is something you travel through at your own pace. How we talk about time can shape how we live it. You wake up before your alarm. You get hungry at the same time every day. You feel sleepy when the sun goes down. That's not luck. That's your circadian rhythm, the biological clock ticking inside your body. It's tuned to light, temperature, and even your eating habits. It controls your sleep, your mood, your energy. But when that rhythm is thrown off by jet lag, night shifts, or even too much screen time, time itself can start to feel wrong. You might feel stuck in slow motion, or like entire days pass in a blur. Your brain doesn't just track time with a watch, it feels it in your blood, your cells, your sleep. And when that inner clock is out of sync, the world doesn't feel quite real. There was a man who wanted to know what time truly felt like without clocks, calendars, or sunlight. So he built a cave. Or more accurately, he moved into one. For 2 months, he lived underground. No phone, no watch, no sunrise. Just darkness, silence, and his own sense of passing time. He believed he could guess when a day had passed, but something strange happened. After a week, he thought, only 2 or 3 days had gone by. After a month, he believed it was still week 2. Time had stretched, or maybe it had disappeared. When he finally came out, couldn't believe how much of his life had slipped away. Without external cues, his brain rewrote the timeline. Reality became memory. And memory had betrayed him. On one side of the river, 7 p.m., on the other side, still 6 p.m., but there's no clock dividing them, just a small bridge. In this border town between India and Nepal, people live on 2 times at once. Shops on one street close early. Cross the road, and another world is still wide awake. School children switch between time zones. One home eats dinner at 8, the neighbor eats at 7. And they're both right. Even birthdays happen at different hours depending on where you're standing. Time here is a matter of perspective, a political decision, a habit, not an absolute. For the people who live there, time doesn't flow. It shifts depending on which foot hits the ground. There's a man who swears his grandfather's watch is alive, not in a haunted way. But something isn't right. The watch is old, leather strap cracked, glass scratched, mechanism outdated, but it keeps perfect time, even after falling in water, even after being buried in snow for 2 weeks. Even after sitting in a drawer for 10 years, it never stops. Never needs winding, no battery, no solar panel, no explanation. He's taken it to watchmakers. They say it shouldn't work. They open it, test it, shake their heads. But when he puts it back on, tick, tick, tick. It's like it knows when it's on his wrist, like it remembers him. He tried to give it away once. It stopped. The moment it came back to him, it ticked again. No one's sure how long it will last, but some say it's not the watch that's alive, it's the bond. And some things don't follow time's rules. There's a strange effect certain sounds have on the brain. They don't just affect your mood, they affect your perception of time. A low hum like an old refrigerator or a distant engine can make a moment feel endless. It pulls you into a trance, slowing your heartbeat, stretching seconds into minutes. On the flip side, fast rhythmic beats like drums or clapping can speed time up. You feel energized, alert, but suddenly an hour is gone. In one experiment, people were asked to sit quietly in a room playing just one single tone. No music, no speech. Just a steady, low drone dot after only 10 minutes. Most participants believed they had been sitting for over half an hour. Their brains lost track. Time melted. That's why monks chant. Why ambient music exists. Why some elevators feel like time warps. We don't just see or feel time, we hear it. He walked into a hospital in Madrid, confused and exhausted. His clothes were outdated. His ID had expired in 2008, but it was 2023. He said his name, said he had just come back from work, said he left his apartment like he always did. But when the doctors ran his fingerprints, they found a record missing persons. 2008. His apartment was long gone. His workplace didn't exist anymore. His family had moved on, thinking he was dead. He had no memory of where he'd been. Not a single detail. No scars, no injuries, no trauma. Just a gap. 15 years, erased. Some believe he suffered a rare fugue state. Others say it was something more, a tear in time, a missing thread in reality. And him. He just wants to know how one morning walk turned into a 15-year disappearance. Fishermen call it the still place, a patch of ocean near the Azores. No currents, no wind, just silence. Ships pass through and report strange malfunctions. Watches slow down. GPS signals vanish. Even birds refuse to fly over it. But one satellite photo caught something odd. An island barely visible, appearing and disappearing with the tide. A scientific team once landed there. They stayed for just 2 hours. But when they returned to their boat, the clocks read 17 hours later. Their food had rotted, batteries drained, digital devices reset. The team swore they were only gone a short time. But the world outside had kept moving. No one's sure what causes it. Magnetic anomaly. A trick of gravity. Or maybe that place doesn't follow our timeline. Maybe it follows its own. At first, they thought she was just imaginative, child with vivid dreams. She'd wake up and say things like, "There'll be a car crash at the school gate today," or "Dad will spill coffee on his shirt at exactly 8:43, and it would happen. Every time. Not guesses, not vague feelings. Exact events, exact moments. Her parents tried to ignore it until she started writing the dreams down. Pages and pages. Dates, times, places. One day, she said she dreamed of a fire. She even drew the floor plan of a nearby shopping center with an X on the electrical panel. That same week, it caught fire. Short circuit, same panel. No one was hurt because they cleared the area in time. She says she doesn't control the dreams. They come randomly. She can't stop them. And not all of them are good. Some she's too afraid to share. There's a bridge in rural Norway, stone. Ancient locals call it the bridge that waits. People say when you cross it on foot, you feel strange. You don't hear your footsteps. Your phone screen freezes. Time, for a moment, disappears. No birds fly over it. No animals cross it. But one story stands out. A couple once got lost during a hike and found the bridge. They walked across it, hand in hand. On the other side, they saw the same sky, the same sun, but when they returned home, it had been 2 days. They didn't feel tired. They didn't eat or sleep, but their watches dead. Phones out of sync. Their families are frantic, thinking they were missing. No one knows who built that bridge. There's no record, no inscription. Just old stones and a path that doesn't follow our time. It was an old pocket watch found in a flea market in Vienna. Tarnished metal, cracked glass. The vendor claimed it didn't work. But the moment the buyer wound it, it started ticking. Backward. Every tick reversed the second hand. Every minute, it counted down. At first, it was just a curiosity. But then the man noticed strange things. Old bruises began to fade. A gray hair turned black. His unpaid speeding ticket vanished from the system, and with each day he kept the watch near him. The world around him seemed to rewind, only slightly. But noticeable. Eventually, the dreams started. Memories he'd forgotten. People he hadn't met yet. Places that no longer existed. One night, he left the watch in a locked drawer. When he woke up the next morning, his apartment was empty. Furniture gone. Mail undelivered. It was like the present had never arrived. He never touched the watch again. But he still hears the ticking sometimes in his sleep. No one remembers July 13th. Not in that small Nevada town. Phones jumped from the 12th to the 14th. Digital records skipped 24 hours. Security cameras, blank. Not blacked out, just missing. People woke up feeling dizzy. Some had nosebleeds. One woman claimed she saw the moon at noon, but no one believed her. When local news asked around, everyone agreed they didn't dream that night. Not a single person. Hospitals had no admissions. The power grid showed zero usage. Even animals acted strange. Dogs whined. Birds flew in circles. Cows refused to eat. Scientists visited. Nothing found. No radiation. No electromagnetic pulses. No explanation, but one man had a theory that something happened that day. Something massive. And time, unable to handle it, just deleted the day. He was testing a new shutter setting just for fun. 1 second, 1 click. But when he viewed the image, it wasn't a frozen moment. It was chaos. Hundreds of people, a wedding, a fire, a snowfall, babies crying, leaves falling, all crammed into a single frame. Zooming in, he saw himself older, bearded, holding a cane. Beside him, a child he hadn't met yet. The metadata said the photo was taken 365 days apart. Date stamp scrambled. File name kept rewriting itself like it was fighting the truth. He tried again. Another photo. This time, a funeral. Same street, same background, different season, different year. He stopped after that, but sometimes when he opens his gallery, those strange images rearrange themselves, like they're updating. Like time is still riding the future. Sailing through the Pacific, a storm forced a solo traveler off course. When he awoke the next morning, he saw an island. Not large, just forest. Rocks and a black sand beach. He went ashore. Birds he'd never seen before. Fruits that shimmered like glass. Time felt loose. His watch would skip ahead, then lag. The sun hovered for hours, then dropped in seconds. He stayed one night, then left. But when he got back to land, there was a problem. No one believed him. The GPS had no record of the island. His boat log was erased. The fruit samples he brought, it's gone. The photos, corrupted. But here's the strange part. Every time he opens a world map, even printed ones, his finger always lands on the same blank spot, as if some part of him still remembers. as if the island is calling him back. It looked like an ordinary clock found in an antique store, tucked behind layers of dust and silence. Simple wooden frame, faded brass hands. No brand. But when they hung it in their kitchen, the first thing they noticed, time wasn't ticking forward. It was rewinding. 5 o'clock became 4:59, then 4:58 backwards. Always backwards. At first, they laughed. I thought it was broken, but then strange things started happening. Old bruises healed. Wilting flowers stood upright again. The dog grew energetic like a puppy. Even arguments had disappeared from memory, but the more it ticked back, the more they forgot. Birthdays, names, even why they loved each other. One morning, she woke up alone. No pictures, no proof he'd ever existed. Just the clock ticking toward something even older. They called him polite, quiet, forgettable. But not because of how he looked, because of what he didn't have. No shadow, not in sunlight, not under street lamps, not even in a flashlight beam. Photographers couldn't explain it. Mirrors reflected him, but behind him. Always empty, he claimed he didn't notice until he turned 12, and then it just stayed that way. Doctors scanned. Scientists tested. Nothing was wrong, but something was missing. Then one evening, someone spotted his shadow, just not with him. It was standing across the street, mimicking his every move from a distance. Next day, gone again. Some say his shadow escaped time. Others believe it's still wandering, waiting for the right moment to return to him. Or worse, waiting for him to step into its world instead. It showed up overnight. Between 5th and 6th Avenue, where a blank wall used to be, now stood a narrow cobblestone street, foggy, quiet. No name. People thought it was part of a film set, but no crew, no signs. Flickering gas lamps and houses that looked wrong, alike. They'd been drawn by memory, not blueprints. A couple walked down it. Just a few steps in, and everything shifted. Their phones stopped working. Footsteps echoed like they were underground. Shadows didn't match their bodies. They turned back. But 5th Avenue was gone. Just more of the same endless street. The city searched for them. Nothing. By morning, the street had vanished. Just the blank wall again. Except now there's a faded street sign, barely visible. Yesterday Lane. It was buried inside an old vinyl. Unmarked. Warped. No grooves. Just smooth black surface. But when the needle dropped, the room filled with sound. Not music exactly. Something between whispers and thunder. Voices layered so deeply, they formed melodies that didn't make sense. The listener froze. Their heartbeats slowed. Memories surfaced. Not theirs. Wars they hadn't fought. Lovers they'd never kissed. Places they'd never been. When it stopped, they were shaking, and the vinyl cracked clean in two. They told friends. No one believed them. But sometimes, late at night, they swear they still hear it, playing from the wall behind their bed, calling them back to listen again. But this time, there's no needle, and no turning it off. She woke up on her birthday, but no one remembered. Not her family, not her friends, not even the calendar. Her phone showed the wrong date. Her social media was silent. Even the local news skipped over the day. She asked around. People looked confused. Wasn't yesterday your birthday? No, they said. It was last week. But she knew. She was certain. It was today. As the day went on, the feeling grew heavier, like the world had erased her special moment. No cake, no cards, no calls, only silence. That night, she found an old diary filled with entries from past birthdays. But the last page was blank. Like time had paused just for her. It wasn't a fancy watch, just a simple wristwatch bought at a flea market. But it had one strange feature: it started ticking before the event happened. If someone was about to meet a friend, the watch would tick faster a few minutes before. If danger approached, it would slow down, as if warning its wearer. 1. Man tested it during a storm. The watch ticked irregularly, faster, then slower, then paused. Seconds later, lightning struck nearby. He was safe. But the watch had saved him. No one knew how it worked, or why it chose its moments. But everyone who wore it felt connected to something bigger, something beyond ordinary time. In a quiet town, there's a clock tower that hasn't worked for decades, but locals say something strange happens when it strikes midnight. Time freezes. Cars stop moving. People freeze mid-step. Animals pause mid-run. One curious teenager decided to test it. He sneaked out just before midnight, stood beneath the tower as the clock struck 12. Everything around him froze. The wind stopped. Even his breath hung still. But he could move. Like time hadn't touched him. He ran home, heart pounding. But when he looked back, the clock's hands moved again. Since then, no one dared get near the tower at midnight. A town celebrated its annual festival. But something was off. The sun didn't set. Hours passed, but light stayed. People watched in confusion, trying to find the sun's edge, but it just hung motionless. Days passed in endless sunlight. Sleep became impossible. Food spoiled too fast. People grew restless. Scientists came to investigate, but no explanation. It was as if the day itself refused to end, trapped in a loop, forever stretching. Some say the festival had awakened an ancient curse. Others believe time itself was broken, and this town was stuck. It was a small hourglass, no bigger than a hand, passed down through generations. People believed it controlled their luck, but one day it stopped. No sand falling, no ticking sound. Just silence. Since then, bad luck seemed to follow the owner. Doors stuck shut. Phones dropped calls. Plans fell apart. Desperate, the owner searched for new sand, rare desert grains. River silt, nothing worked. Some say the hourglass didn't just run out of sand. It ran out of time. And without time, everything else falls apart. A man found an old camera in his attic. He loaded film and took pictures around his town. When developed, the photos showed things that hadn't happened yet. A new building under construction. A car. Accident on Main Street. A storm brewing on the horizon. At first, he thought it was coincidence, but the photos came true exactly as captured. He became obsessed, taking pictures every day, trying to glimpse the future. But with each photo, the future changed, sometimes for better, sometimes worse. He wondered if he was helping or causing what was to come. There's an old room in a forgotten house on the edge of town. Locals say when you step inside, time just freezes. No clocks tick. No shadows move. No sound escapes. One curious visitor stayed for minutes. When he left, hours had passed outside. He checked his watch, frozen. He looked at the sun, unmoved. Something about that room traps moments, holding them in a still bubble where time can't touch. A woman started receiving letters. No return address. Written in her own handwriting, but dated years ahead. They warned of things to come, accidents, heartbreaks, surprises. At first, she ignored them. But when the warnings came true, she couldn't deny the truth. She tried to change the future, to stop the disasters, but every time she did, the letters grew darker, and the events found new ways to happen. It was like the future was set, and time was pushing back against her efforts. He was born normal, or so they thought. But as he grew, everything changed. His memories came backward. He remembered his last day before his first. His words reversed. His actions rewound. Doctors called it a mystery, a strange condition no one understood. To the boy, the future was his past, and the past his future, living day by day in reverse. He aged backward, youthfully stepping toward infancy. His family watched helplessly. Caught between time's cruel trick and love, an old clockmaker crafted a special clock, one that could bend time itself. Not for minutes or hours, but for memories. Turn the hands forward, and you could forget pain. Turn them back, and relive joy. The clock was a marvel, hidden away in a dusty shop. But it came at a cost. With every twist, something slipped away. A memory lost, a moment erased. The clockmaker disappeared one night, leaving only the ticking behind. A reminder that time, once spent, never quite straightens again. It happened suddenly. A whole town woke up and couldn't remember yesterday. Not a single soul. No memories. No dreams. People stared blankly at old photos, unsure who the faces were. Homes felt like strangers' places. Doctors were baffled. No brain injury. No illness. But the clock still ticked. Life went on. Some say it was a curse. Others whisper about a ripple in time, erasing the day from existence as if it never happened at all. A man found a stopwatch that could pause the world. Press the button and everything froze. People, cars, even birds in mid-dash flight. At first, it was thrilling. He could walk through frozen streets, read unread messages, or sneak into places unnoticed. But the longer he paused time, the more he felt himself slipping away. Disconnected. Alone. One day, the stopwatch jammed. He was stuck frozen in time while the world rushed on without him. He noticed it first in the morning light. His shadow didn't match him. It stretched longer when he stood still and sometimes moved when he didn't. At night, it seemed to grow. Stronger, twisting into shapes he couldn't explain. One evening, the shadow stepped away from the wall and for a moment looked like it had a life of its own. After that night, he never felt alone again. In a small mountain village, all clocks stopped working overnight. But more than that, they began to warp and melt like something out of a dream. People panicked as time slipped away. No one could tell if it was morning or night. Appointments were missed. Plans fell apart. Scientists arrived but found no explanation. Only clocks that seemed to be dissolving, as if time itself was breaking down. Some believe the village crossed a boundary, between moments caught in a place where time loses all meaning. He discovered it by accident, a way to freeze time with a simple thought. At first, it was incredible. He could pause arguments, avoid accidents, even steal moments of peace. But the more he used it, the more the world outside seemed distant. Friends moved on, seasons changed. And he was trapped in a bubble, watching life pass without him. One day, he forgot how to start time again. In this strange town, time flowed the opposite way. People aged younger each day. Memories faded before they could be made. Conversations ended before they started. Visitors were confused, but locals accepted it like normal. They said it was a blessing, a chance to undo mistakes. But outsiders called it a curse, a place where the past swallowed the future. He found the watch buried in the sand. It looked ordinary until he looked closer. The face displayed not just time, but different versions of his life. One showed him as a painter, another as a traveler, and one as someone who never left home. Each tick shifted the scene, reminding him of paths not taken. Lives on live T. It was a glimpse into what could have been, and a haunting reminder of choices made. One morning, clocks across the globe stopped. Not just in one place, everywhere. Seconds stretched endlessly. People found themselves stuck in moments, unable to move forward. Some tried to run, others tried to sleep. But time held tight, refusing to release its grip. Scientists called it a global freeze. But no one knew why or how to fix it. He woke up to find his entire day unfolding backward. Breakfast came after dinner. conversations started with goodbyes, and steps retraced before being taken. At first, it was confusing, but then he realized he could predict what would happen next because he had already seen the end. The strange reversal lasted 24 hours, and then, suddenly, time snapped back to normal. But he was left wondering, did it really end, or was he still caught somewhere in between? A group of explorers found an island untouched by time. No aging, no decay, no decay. Flowers bloomed forever. People remained the same day after day. At first, it seemed like paradise. But soon, boredom set in. No change, no growth. Time wasn't just paused, it was erased, leaving only a frozen moment trapped in endless stillness. It was a gift from a stranger, an old watch that never ticked. No hands moved, no seconds passed. At first, the owner thought it was broken. But then strange things happened time around. Them seemed to slow down. Conversations dragged on. Days felt longer. The watch didn't just stop time, it changed how it felt. And soon, the owner wished it had never been found. In a remote village, clocks began spinning wildly. Not forward or backward, but in endless circles. People's routines repeated. Morning coffee spilled again and again. Conversations started over, never reaching an end. It was as if the day was caught in a loop. Trapped by time itself? No. One knew how to break the cycle, or if they ever would. She woke up every morning, unable to remember the day ahead. Plans, dreams, hopes vanished. She lived only in the present moment. Friends tried to help, but each day was a blank page. She wrote reminders, but they faded by night. Was she trapped in a loop, or had time left her behind? There was an old clock in the town square. It didn't just tell time, it whispered secrets to those who listened. Some heard warnings, others heard promises, but all left with a feeling they couldn't explain. One night, the clock stopped, the whispers ceased, and the town felt lost. He inherited an old pocket watch from his grandfather. It seemed ordinary until he noticed its hands would stop exactly at the moment someone died nearby. At first, it felt like a curse. But then, he started using it to save lives, warning people before accidents. The watch was both a blessing and a burden, a ticking reminder of time's fragility. One morning, the world woke up without a future. No one could plan, no calendars worked. People lived as if the next day wouldn't come. Chaos spread as uncertainty took hold. The future, once taken for granted, vanished like a dream. Scientists scrambled, but time remained stubborn, stuck in the now. A group of children found a metal box in an old tree. Inside were letters and objects dated decades into the future. The catch: the box was supposed to be buried, but at WASN single quotes. As they read, events described began to unfold in real life. Warnings, hopes, and secrets from the future. It was as if time itself had leaked through the cracks. Late one night, a man found himself face to face with himself. Older, wiser, but tired. The future self warned him of choices to come, moments to cherish or avoid. Title: The Clock That Counted Down. There was a clock in a forgotten room, one that didn't show the time of day. Instead, it counted down to something unknown. No one knew what the end would bring: a disaster, a miracle, or just silence. People who saw it felt a growing unease. Like waiting for a storm that never quite arrived. A man received a letter from his own past. Memories he had forgotten came rushing back, events he thought were buried. It was as if the past had reached out, demanding to be remembered. And with it came a warning: some things can't stay hidden forever. The meeting lasted minutes, but changed everything. Afterward, the man wasn't sure if it was real or just a glimpse through time's veil. One evening, The clock in the town square stopped at exactly 11:59. But the hour after never ended. People found themselves trapped. In the same 60 minutes, reliving moments, conversations, and decisions. Days passed outside, but inside, time looped endlessly. A prisoner of a broken second. A young woman noticed her shadow behaving oddly. It always moved ahead of her towards things she hadn't yet done. Sometimes it would pause, waiting. Other times it acted out moments before she did. It was as if her shadow lived in the future, reminding her that time was never quite hers to control. She wasn't like anyone else. While others saw clocks ticking, she could hear time itself. A faint, constant hum that pulsed around her, rising and falling like a heartbeat. At first, it was just noise, soft and distant, but soon it grew clearer. She heard seconds whisper secrets, minutes sigh with regret, and hours laugh at the passing of days. One day, the hum turned to a scream, a warning that something was wrong. Time was unraveling. She felt the threads of seconds loosening, moments slipping through cracks she couldn't see. People began forgetting things' names, places, even how to walk. Desperate to stop the chaos, she searched for the source of the disturbance, following the growing crescendo in her ears. But time, she realized, was not just a river flowing forward. It was a web, fragile and tangled, and pulling one thread could unravel everything. He was an ordinary man, until he found an old shop with a peculiar sign, "Buy your tomorrow today." Curious, he stepped inside. The shopkeeper offered him a choice: pay now and live tomorrow before anyone else. Skeptical but intrigued, he agreed. The next morning, he awoke to a world no one else knew. He had lived tomorrow, seen the news, heard the conversations, even avoided mistakes before they happened. But the gift came with a price, because when the real tomorrow arrived, it was empty, nothing to surprise him, nothing to look forward to. Friends looked at him with pity, and every moment felt rehearsed. He had bought the future, but lost the joy of discovery. He was a master of time, a clockmaker whose hands had built countless timepieces that kept the world ticking. But his final creation was different. It wasn't just a clock, it was a doorway, a device that could open a window to moments lost, allowing one to visit the past or glimpse the future. He worked on it for years in solitude, driven by a secret grief and the hope of changing a single moment. When it was finally finished, he activated the clock and stepped through the shimmering portal. But time had its own rules. Changing the past wasn't simple. Every choice rippled out in unexpected ways, twisting reality into shadows of what might have been. And the clockmaker soon realized some moments are meant to stay lost, and some doors should never be opened. 2. Lovers lived in different worlds, separated by distance and time. But when they met, the world seemed to pause. Clocks stopped. Birds froze mid-flight. The sun hung motionless in the sky. For those moments, nothing else mattered, only their hearts beating in a frozen world. But time couldn't stay still forever. And when it started moving again, they faced the painful truth. Love might freeze time, but it couldn't stop it. He wasn't born with this gift. One day, his eyes changed, and suddenly he saw time as ribbons flowing through the world, some thick and vibrant moments full of life and energy, others thin and frayed memories fading into darkness. He could watch the future unravel, see threads snap and new ones form, but the weight of seeing all that was heavy. Every broken thread was a loss he felt deep inside. Every bright ribbon was a hope he held on to, even when the world wanted to forget. In that town, the same day happened over and over again. People woke up with déjà vu, reliving moments they thought were behind them. Some tried to change things, but no matter what, the day reset. At first, it was funny. a chance to fix mistakes. But soon it became a prison, a never-ending loop where time refused to move forward. Whispers grew about a curse, about something ancient keeping the town trapped. Caught between yesterday and tomorrow, the watch had belonged to many people, each owner unaware of the curse it carried. With every passing hand, the watch seemed to erase a little piece of time from their lives. One man noticed his memories slipping, moments forgotten like whispers lost in the wind. Another lost track of whole days, waking up in places he didn't recognize. The watch was more than a timekeeper, it was a thief, stealing time from those who wore it, leaving them with empty pockets of lost years. One stormy night, time fractured. Clocks spun wildly, seconds stretched and snapped, and people found themselves jumping unpredictably between moments. Some lived years in seconds. Others felt their lives slowed to a crawl. The world was out of sync, a chaotic dance of past, present, and future colliding. No one knew how to fix it, and some wondered if time had finally decided to break free. It was a quiet evening when everyone noticed something strange. The clocks had skipped an entire hour. People looked at their watches, confused. Phones showed different times. Cars on the road suddenly stopped as drivers checked their dashboards in disbelief. Even the news anchors seemed puzzled, pausing mid-broadcast to glance at their screens. No one could explain it. An hour simply vanished from the day, like it was swallowed by the shadows. For some, it was a relief, an hour less to work or worry about bills. For others, it was terrifying. Important meetings, birthdays, even memories seemed to evaporate. The most unsettling part: no one could remember what happened during that lost hour. Families asked each other, "What did you do?" But the answers were blank stares and shrugs. Scientists tried to measure it, tracking every second that passed, but their instruments showed nothing out of the ordinary. It was as if time itself had hiccuped, lost its rhythm, and left everyone behind. People began to feel uneasy. If time could just skip an hour without warning, what else could it do? Was this just the beginning? Some whispered about a tear in the fabric of time, a crack where moments fall through to nowhere. Others believed it was a message, a warning that reality was fragile. No one had the answer, but one thing was certain. From that day forward, time didn't feel quite so safe anymore. He was an ordinary man with an extraordinary idea. What if he could buy more time? Not just the usual hours or minutes we all try to stretch, but real, extra time. More days, months, even years to live, to love, to chase dreams. One rainy afternoon, he found a small shop tucked away between two towering buildings. A faded sign hung above the door, "Time for sale." Curious, he stepped inside. The shop was cluttered with dusty clocks, hourglasses filled with shimmering sand, and old calendars. An old man greeted him, eyes twinkling. "You want time? Have it, but it comes at a price." Without hesitation, the man agreed. He handed over everything he had saved, all his money, in exchange for a small vial labeled "extra time." At first, it was a miracle. Days stretched longer, his body felt younger, and moments of joy multiplied. He finally had time to fix mistakes, to mend relationships, to chase forgotten dreams. But with every borrowed moment, something slipped away. His memories grew hazy. Faces of loved ones faded like distant echoes, and his sense of self began to dissolve. The more time he bought, the less he felt connected to the life he had fought so hard to extend. Eventually, he realized he had traded the true essence of living, the unpredictable, fleeting, messy beauty of time, for an endless, empty stretch of borrowed hours. He was alive, but no longer really living. And in that bargain, he had lost everything that made time worth having. In the heart of a bustling city, life suddenly ground to a halt, just traffic, or people. But time itself. One morning, the sun rose but never moved across the sky. Clocks stopped ticking, and the usual rush of daily life froze like a paused movie. People stood in place mid-step. Conversations hung unfinished in the air, and the hum of the city quieted into a heavy silence. At first, it felt like a miracle, a chance to catch a breath in the chaos of life. But as hours stretched into days, panic set in. Without the flow of time, food spoiled, plants stopped growing, and machines rusted in place. Scientists scrambled to understand the phenomenon, but every experiment hit the same dead-end. Time had simply stopped for this one city. Frozen like a moment trapped in amber, the residents were caught in a strange limbo where memories felt real. But the future refused to arrive. Families tried to move, to act, to break the invisible chains holding them still. But nothing worked. It was as if the city was suspended between yesterday and tomorrow. Lost in a timeless fog, questions filled the empty streets. Had time abandoned them? Was this punishment or a cosmic accident? As hope faded, a small group of people began searching for a way to restart the clock. To remind time it was meant to flow, not freeze. Some moments whisper softly, unnoticed tiny threads woven into the fabric of our days. But what if those seconds could speak? She was the only one who could hear them, a faint murmur beneath the noise of the world. At first, it was just random words, fragments of memories, warnings, and secrets. The seconds told her about things no one else could see, lost chances hidden, truths, futures yet to unfold. Sometimes they whispered warnings of danger, guiding her away from harm. Other times they spoke of love and hope, reminding her to hold on to fleeting joys. But the whispers grew louder, more urgent, until they filled her mind with voices from the past, present, and future all at once. It was overwhelming, like carrying the weight of time itself. She wondered if listening too closely would unravel her own place in the world, or give her the power to change what was to come. In those whispered seconds lay the fragile balance between fate and free will. And the question, could one person truly understand the language of time? She found the mirror in an old attic, dusty and cracked, but strangely inviting. When she looked into it, she didn't see her reflection. Instead, she saw moments yet to come. Sometimes small things, a letter arriving, a stranger's face in a crowd. Other times, bigger events, choices that would change her life forever. At first, she was thrilled. A glimpse into the future meant she could prepare, avoid mistakes, make better decisions. But the mirror's visions came with a price. Every glimpse of what could be felt like a shadow stretching over her present. She grew anxious, haunted by questions: were the visions fixed, or could they be changed? If she tried to alter the future, would she break the fragile thread of time? And slowly, the line between what was real and what was seen in the mirror blurred, until she wasn't sure if she was living today or just waiting for tomorrow. There was a hidden library, not filled with books, but with moments lost to time. Each shelf held memories forgotten by the world: a child's first laugh, a goodbye never said, a secret kept too long. Visitors came rarely, but those who did could choose a moment to relive, to touch once more what had slipped away. But the moments were fragile, shimmering like glass, and holding on too tightly could shatter them. Some people stayed too long, lost in memories, forgetting to return to the present. The library reminded everyone that time is not just about moving forward, but cherishing what slips quietly into the past. He made a deal with time, itself a bargain whispered in the shadows. For every day he wanted to add to his life, he had to give up another dot. At first, it seemed simple: trade a boring Monday for an exciting Saturday, or swap a sleepless night for a peaceful morning. But the trades came with unexpected consequences. Days lost weren't just gone, they erased memories. Feelings, parts of his identity slipping into the void. He struggled to hold on to who he was, while time took pieces of him with each bargain. In the end, he realized that time isn't something to trade or hoard, it's something to live fully. No matter how many days we have, he was the first to break the rules of time, traveling to the past and future at will. At first, it was thrilling, changing small moments, fixing mistakes, exploring endless possibilities. But every change had a cost. He watched people he loved vanish. Or worse, become strangers in altered timelines. The more he traveled, the more lost he felt, untethered from his own life. Eventually, he stopped trying to fix the past or peek ahead. Instead, he lived in the present, carrying the heavy lesson that some moments must be lived, not changed. There was a peculiar clock in a small village, hidden away in the corner of an old workshop. Unlike ordinary clocks, this one didn't just measure time, it seemed to absorb the dreams of those nearby. People who spent too much time near it began forgetting their hopes, losing sight of what they once wished for. Their ambitions faded like shadows at dusk, replaced by emptiness and a dull acceptance of the mundane. Some tried to destroy the clock, but every attempt failed. The clock always ticked on, quiet and relentless. It was as if the clock fed on dreams, trading lost hopes for another endless second. One morning, people woke up to a world running backward. Birds flew in reverse, water flowed uphill, and clocks ticked backward. At first, it felt like a bizarre dream. Then the panic set in. Memories unraveled. Conversations made no sense, and people struggled to make sense of their lives moving in reverse. As the day went on, emotions twisted, joy turned to sadness, and hope slipped away. Scientists scrambled to find the cause, but no explanation came. Some believed it was a cosmic reset, a chance to undo mistakes or relive precious moments. Others feared it was a punishment, a warning that time was fragile and not to be taken for granted. By nightfall, time snapped back into place, leaving behind a world forever changed by a day that had craned backward. She discovered her power on a rainy afternoon, the ability to pause everything around her, people, cars, even raindrops, hanging frozen mid-air. At first, it was thrilling, a secret escape from the rush of life. She could freeze moments to catch her breath, to avoid danger, or simply enjoy a quiet second. But the gift became a burden. Time didn't like being stopped. The longer she paused the world, the heavier it felt. She saw things others missed, hidden fears, silent sorrows. And when she finally let go, the world rushed back with overwhelming force, reminding her that time's flow is relentless, and some moments aren't meant to be held forever. Deep beneath the city, workers uncovered a time capsule buried centuries ago. Inside were letters, objects, and stories from a forgotten era, but something was off. The letters spoke of events that hadn't happened yet, warnings from a time traveler who knew the future. The objects seemed to glow faintly, humming with unknown energy. As news spread, people became obsessed, trying to decipher the warnings to change their own fates. But the more they tried, the more unpredictable time became. Was the capsule a gift, a curse, or a trap? And what happened if the future it predicted was already written, or worse, could be rewritten? It was no ordinary hourglass. Legend said it measured the time each person had left to live. The sand inside glowed faintly, slipping slowly from one bulb to the other. People whispered about its power. Some said if you turned it over, you could add more time to your life. But others warned that once the sand ran out, there was no going back. One man, desperate to cheat fate, flipped the hourglass again and again. At first, days stretched endlessly before him, but soon the world around him began to unravel. Friends disappeared, memories faded, and he felt more alone than ever. In the end, the hourglass reminded him that Time isn't something to steal. It's a gift to be spent wisely, hidden in the patterns of the stars, in the rhythm of the tides and the beats of a distant drum, was a secret code, a message written in the language of time itself. For centuries, scholars and mystics tried to decipher it, believing it held the key to understanding the universe. Some claimed it predicted great events, disasters, triumphs, even the end of time. Others said it was a map to a hidden dimension where time flowed differently. A few brave souls devoted there, lives to chasing the code's meaning, only to vanish without a trace. And the world watched, wondering, is time just a clock we follow, or is it a puzzle waiting to be solved? There was a small town where no one grew older. Children remained children. Adults stayed the same year after year, and the elderly never faded away. At first, it seemed like a miracle, a place untouched by time's cruel hand. But beneath the surface, something was wrong. People stopped dreaming about the future, and the weight of endless today grew heavy without the passing of time. Life lost its urgency, its meaning. Relationships became stagnant, and the town felt like a picture frozen in a dusty frame. Visitors came and left, aging as they always did, but the town stayed locked in a never-ending now. A reminder that time isn't just about counting years, it's about the changes that make life worth living. He was known as the greatest clockmaker in history, but his greatest secret wasn't how to build clocks, it was how to stop time. In a hidden workshop, he crafted a clock that could freeze the world for a single hour. He used it sparingly. Moments frozen to save loved ones or to escape dangers no one else could see. But with each use, the clock demanded a price, a piece of his own time, slowly draining his life away. He hid the clock away, knowing its power was too dangerous, yet the temptation lingered to freeze time just one more moment, to hold on to life a little longer. It began as an ordinary morning, but suddenly, time froze. People stopped mid-step. Cars paused on the roads. Birds hung motionless in the sky. No one could move or speak. It was as if the world was holding its breath. For some, the silence was peaceful, a break from the chaos. For others, it was terrifying, trapped in a moment with no way out. Scientists were baffled, unable to explain the phenomenon. Rumors spread of a cosmic glitch, a warning from the universe, or even a punishment. After what felt like an eternity, time began again. Slowly at first, then rushing back with full force. But nothing was the same. People carried the weight of that still moment forever. There was a legend about a shadowy figure who could steal time from others. No one saw him coming, moved through crowds unnoticed, snatching seconds, minutes, even hours from the lives of the unsuspecting. Victims found their days shortened, memories slipping away without explanation. Some lost entire years, waking up to find loved ones changed or gone. The thief was never caught, always one step ahead, a ghost in the ticking clock of life. People began guarding their time fiercely, realizing it was the most precious thing they had and easiest to lose. Imagine waking up to find the sun never sets, an endless day stretching on without nightfall at first. It feels like a dream, hours of light to explore, to live, to enjoy. But as days turn into weeks, the brightness becomes a burden. The body grows tired, the mind restless, and sleep becomes a stranger. Without darkness, the time loses its rhythm. People begin to forget what night feels like, and with it, memories start to blur. The endless day traps the town in a loop, a prison made of light, where time no longer heals or renews. It becomes a lesson that time's balance of light and dark is what gives life its meaning. He was an artist unlike any other. Instead of colors, he painted moments, snapshots of time frozen on canvas. Each stroke captured emotions, memories, and fragments of days gone by. People came from far and wide to see his work. to feel the stories woven into every painting. But the painter carried a secret with every moment he captured. A piece of that time disappeared from the world. Birthdays were missed, laughter faded, sunsets unseen. His art was beautiful, but it came at the cost of real life passing by unseen. And so, the painter faced a choice to keep creating and steal more time, or to let go and allow life to flow freely. Sometimes, late at night, if you listen closely, you can hear the whisper of lost time. It's the sound of moments that slipped away, unnoticed, words unspoken, chances not taken, smiles forgotten. Those whispers float through the air like shadows, reminding us of the seconds we wished we had back. People who hear these whispers often feel a deep longing, a gentle ache for what might have been. Some say it's a call to live more fully, to seize the time we have before it, too, becomes a whisper. Others believe it's the universe's way of showing us that time is never truly gone, just waiting to be remembered. Hidden in a forgotten corner of the world, there's a garden where time grows like flowers. Each bloom is a moment bright, fragile, and unique. Visitors come to the garden to find moments they lost: a first kiss, a long-lost laugh, a childhood afternoon. The flowers sway gently, releasing scents of memories. But the garden's magic is delicate touch, a flower too roughly, and the moment wilts away forever. It's a place of beauty and sorrow, a reminder that time is alive and that every moment deserves care and respect. In the final second before midnight, everything changed. The world held its breath as the last tick echoed through the silence. People felt a shift deep inside, as if time itself was drawing to a close. Some panicked, rushing to hold on to moments they feared would vanish. Others stood still, embracing the unknown with quiet acceptance. In that fleeting instant, the line between past and future blurred. It was a reminder that every second counts, not because time is endless, but because it is precious and fragile. And in that last second, the choice was ours: to live fully or to let time slip away. Time is not a river, nor a ticking clock. It is a dance, a rhythm that flows and falters, a mystery woven into the fabric of existence. It stretches and shrinks, speeds and slows, sometimes slipping through our fingers like sand. But through it all, time carries us forward in moments of joy, sorrow, love, and loss. It connects us to our past, shapes our present, and whispers promises of the future. Though we may never fully understand time, we live it, breathe it, and find meaning in its dance. And that, perhaps, is the greatest story of all. And that brings us to the end of this incredible journey through time, a force we all live by, but hardly ever understand. From mysterious clocks that steal dreams to moments frozen in silence, time is far more than just seconds ticking away. It's a puzzle, a dance, sometimes a trickster playing with our lives as you sit here now, thinking about the strange, wonderful, and even unsettling stories we've explored. Remember, every second counts. So take a deep breath, look around, and embrace the time you have, because it's the one thing that truly belongs to you. If this story made you pause, wonder, or even shiver just a little, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more journeys into the unknown. Thank you for spending your time with us. Until next time, keep watching, keep wondering, and let time surprise you.